Welcome to TechDaily.ai and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are immersing ourselves in, well, a really exciting development. Feels like something that could genuinely reshape learning environments. We're talking about Google's big announcement, these no-cost AI tools. You've got Gemini, Notebook LM, GEMS, and how they're, set to amplify teaching and learning right there in the classroom. It feels like more than just an update, right? And maybe a real turning point for edtech.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to put it. Our mission today really is to unpack how these tools are actually changing things on the ground. We want to look at how they save teachers valuable time, which, let's face it, they never have enough of, and also how they're giving students new ways, really personalized ways, to learn and engage with the material. It's about making this advanced tech accessible, truly useful for everyone.
Before we get into the weeds, though, just a quick note. This deep dive is proudly sponsored by Stonefly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor for all things enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged clusters, VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox AI servers, SA365 security appliances, and cloud solutions, both public and private. Definitely check out stonefly.com to learn more. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain. Google AI classrooms. What's the headline news here? What's got everyone talking?
So the biggest thing really is that Google's making its whole suite of educational AI tools, they call it Gemini in Classroom, available for free, completely free for any educator who has a Google Workspace for Education account. And this isn't just, a small feature drop. We're talking over 30 new features designed to fit right into how teachers already work. The no-cost part is huge. It really democratizes access to this kind of AI, potentially leveling the playing field for schools that maybe don't have huge budgets.
Yeah, that accessibility piece is massive. So, okay, they're free, they're integrated, but how do they actually help teachers? Where does it make a real difference day to day?
Well, they tackle some pretty big pain points. One major area is content creation, generating resources. Think about how long it takes a teacher to create a new lesson plan from scratch or adapt stuff for different kids. Hours, sometimes days. Now, with Gemini, they can generate drafts of content right inside Google Classroom. It's not about replacing the teacher, obviously. It's more like a kickstart. Brainstorming ideas, differentiating materials for students who learn differently. It helps them move from just creating everything themselves to maybe curating and guiding more. And that, directly leads to saving a lot of time. We've heard some really interesting things from teachers in the early pilots. There was Miriam Fan. She teaches language and robotics. She said Gemini saves her hours on planning and support, which helps make her classroom more inclusive. Hours back. And Michael Monte, a tech teacher, he called it the ultimate teaching assistant. Always there, always helpful. Chris Webb, a math teacher, used the rubric tool. He said it turned making rubrics from this repetitive chore into something quick and easy, putting it right into classroom instantly. These aren't just small things. It's real time given back to focus on teaching, on the students.
Those examples really bring it home. Can you walk me through, a specific task? Lesson planning, for instance. How does Gemini actually help with that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take lesson planning. A teacher could say, input 7th grade, and the topic may be ecosystems. Gemini can whip up a first draft of a lesson plan, but then the teacher refines it. They can ask for relevant videos, maybe some interactive simulations. It can even generate a quiz based on the plan, or like a hook something to grab the student's attention at the start. It's like having a really efficient brainstorming partner who also helps organize everything. Another neat thing is using these collaborative prompts. Teachers can use starter prompts in the Gemini app for common tasks, like finding real-world examples that actually click with, say, 7th graders. If you're trying to explain something abstract, Gemini can suggest scenarios from their world that make sense to them. And for quizzes, you put in the topic, grade level, learning goals, and boom, you get a draft quiz. Then you can just pop it right into Google Forms. Less time formatting, more time thinking about the questions themselves. And it's not like this is the final version either. The pilot program for Google for Education's AI track, they're constantly looking at new things, like suggesting feedback on writing assignments. Imagine how that could change giving detailed, timely feedback to every single student. The potential here isn't just about being a bit faster. It could really change how instruction itself is designed, make it more dynamic.
Wow, that does sound like a real shift for teachers, freeing them up. But what about the students? Are they just getting AI-generated stuff pushed at them? Or does this empower their learning too? How does it affect their experience directly?
That's a really important question, and yeah, it's a big focus. Google's launching what they're calling teacher-led AI experiences for students soon. The key here is teacher-led. These aren't just open-ended AI chatbots for kids to wander off with. They're designed carefully safe, responsible, giving students agency, and crucially, they're based only on the materials the teacher provides in classroom. That keeps it relevant and accurate.
Teacher-led. Okay, that sounds critical. So how do these work in practice? What are the tools the students actually use with the teacher guiding them?
All right, there are two main ones for this. First is teacher-led notebook LM in classroom. Picture this. A teacher selects specific resources, maybe their notes, readings, video transcripts, and instantly creates interactive study guides just from that material. They can also generate podcast-style audio overviews. The safety rail here and why it's so useful is that it's only based on what the teacher uploads. So the AI won't make things up or pull in random stuff from the internet. Students get focused, helps tied directly to what they're learning, like an AI tutor that only knows the class material. The second tool is teacher-led gems in classroom. Think of gems like custom, mini versions of Gemini that the teacher creates. A teacher selects specific classroom resources and uses them to inform a gem. They can basically create an AI expert for a particular topic. So maybe you're teaching a complex history unit. You can make a gem that acts as a historian just for that period based on your materials. These AI experts can then help students who need extra support, or maybe those kids who are really curious and want to go deeper. It's like personalized scaffolding, but scalable.
That sounds incredibly useful for differentiation. Letting teachers kind of be in multiple places at once to help different needs. Got any concrete examples of how a teacher might actually use these gems?
Sure, let's say a science teacher assigns reading on, I don't know, photosynthesis. They could attach a quiz me gem right there with the reading. Students could then chat with the gem to check if they understood the concepts, get instant feedback. No waiting for the teacher to grade everything. And to make it easy, Classroom will have 4 pre-built gem templates ready to go. Study partner, quiz me, brainstorm partner, and real-world connector. So teachers can see the potential right away. Or think bigger picture. Teachers prepping students for a big test. They can use Notebook LM to create a study guide that students can actually talk to, ask questions. Maybe add one of those audio overviews summarizing the key points. The teacher can pin this right at the top of the classwork page. So it's always there for extra practice, personalized help, whatever the student needs. It really shows how teachers can tailor learning using AI based on their curriculum and their students. Scaling that kind of personal support was just much harder before.
Yeah, that point about scaling personalized support is huge. Okay, so you've talked content creation, student interaction. What about the data side, the analytics? How do teachers actually know if students are getting it? Tracking progress is so fundamental.
You're absolutely right. Data-driven teaching is key, and Google's adding some really requested features here for tracking progress and enabling, unique learning paths right within Classroom. So coming soon, educators will be able to tag assignments with specific learning standards or skills. This means they can then see new analytics showing how students are doing against those exact standards. That's a big deal for targeted help and seeing where the gaps are. Initially, it'll cover major U.S. K-12 standards and GSS for science, ICE for tech, ACT readiness stuff, but they plan to add more countries. And what's also pretty cool is that schools or districts can upload their own custom standards using the One EdTech case network, so it's flexible for local needs too.
Okay, custom standards tracking. So if I'm a teacher juggling a classroom full of different learners, what does this new analytics tab actually do for me? How does it turn data into something I can use?
It makes it way more visible and actionable. Teachers will see this new analytics tab on their class pages. It gives them one central place to see how students are doing, how engaged they are. It helps pinpoint who might need extra support. For instance, it can flag students consistently missing work, or maybe highlight whose grades are really improving so you can acknowledge that. And these insights aren't just buried in a separate tab. Key info, like assignment progress, shows up right on the classwork page too. Teachers can see who's behind and send quick reminders. It helps them be more proactive.
That sounds much more streamlined for managing everything. What about reading? Such a foundational skill. Any improvements there?
Yeah, good question. They're doing a lot with read along in classroom. Teachers get more flexibility now. They can upload their own texts, or soon even use Gemini to generate stories tailored to specific student needs. And while the student reads, they get real-time help from an AI reading buddy. It listens, offers corrections, gives feedback, kind of like a tutor. And there are different modes. Teachers can set it to silent reading mode, or soon, a listening mode for kids who learn better that way. But even in silent or listening mode, the teacher still gets insights on the analytics dashboard about how well the student understood the text, so they know where the struggles are. Plus, the library of those Haggerty decodable books is getting bigger, over 100 stories with tracking available, and more languages are on the way. It's about giving that personalized reading support while also giving teachers the data they need.
It really does sound like a cohesive package. You've got the tailored content, the personalized AI support for students, and then the data for the teacher to guide it all. It feels like an intelligent ecosystem. Now, this all sounds very promising. But, with any powerful new tech, questions come up. What about things like responsible AI use, data privacy, and maybe teachers becoming too reliant on it? How is Google addressing those kinds of concerns?
That's absolutely critical, and they seem very aware of it. Google really emphasizes these tools are assistants, not replacements. Teacher is still firmly in charge. They stress that privacy and safety were built in from the start, especially for the student tools. That idea of grounding the AI in teacher materials like with Notebook LM and GEMS is a big part of that safety. It keeps the AI focused, stops it from bringing in random or potentially wrong information, and student data privacy in Workspace for Education is key. They state it's protected, not used for ads, not used to train their general AI models. The whole idea is to empower teachers, augment what they do, free up their time for the uniquely human parts of teaching, mentorship, support, critical thinking, not diminish their role.
This deep dive has really illuminated how these free AI tools from Google could genuinely reshape the classroom. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How might this kind of tech change what we even mean by classroom over the next, say, 10 years?
Indeed. It really gives both teachers and students new ways to interact with knowledge, deeper ways, more personalized ways. It points towards a future where learning is potentially even more adaptive, more engaging, and definitely more tailored to each student's own pace and needs, all guided by the teacher.
Before we wrap up, just one more reminder about that fantastic offer from Stonefly. You can get a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS that's incredibly secure storage for just $8,995. Visit stonefly.com for all the details on that. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and we'll catch you next time.